Chapter 20. I wake up. It wasn't slow or fast. I have no physical body to wake. I wake from nothing, and there isn't anything to wake to. Distantly I can feel my memories returning from a world far away, like sand slowly dropping through an hourglass. Most come crumpled, mismatched, and all over the place, but they paint a picture clear enough for me to understand who I am, and what the hell I'm doing in this empty void. Feels kind of like the void before I came into the Nasuverse. That comparison can be saved for later. Right now, I have a mission to finish and I intend to follow it all the way through. Slowly, without a body to move, I begin to move forward, following the thumping sounds I can distantly hear with my magical hearing, which is strange actually. I don't have a body right now, so how can I hear stuff? Does a Magi's magical sense work even when their actual body part is damaged or gone? No, focus. I shake the thought off and continue onwards. As I trudge onwards, the void seems to stretch on forever, the emptiness growing. The trickle of my returning memories slow, and my direction begins to waver as my hearing begins to dull. But it doesn't stop me. I push forward, against the dense void of nothingness, everything growing duller. The memories I had gained broke away, slowly chipped piece by the stabs of 1,000 needles. Pain returns, attacking me from every direction, but I don't stop. I've experienced worse, gone through pain of higher intensity. Forward. With every step my mind breaks, my memories breaking into a million shards. With every move forward my hearing dulls, pain ravaging through what remains of my mind. Every step onward seemed to tear me down, burning away what remains of my identity as I trudged through the empty void. Onwards. I know nothing, I am nothing, but I don't stop. I let my instinct guide me forward, the remains of my soul as my strength to push on. The distant thumping grows, a sign that I'm coming closer, and I hasten my movement. The void tries to push back, intent on forcing me away from whatever it is in the distance, but I grit on and charge. Pain blossoms through my being as I'm crushed under the weight of the world's curses, but I hear the thumping grow louder and my spirits burn. Forward. Something from inside me bursts forward, a light brighter than even the light from the sun. The curses burn away, forging a path, and I go forth. Lightning dances through the empty world, zapping through the empty world and leading me towards the distant sound. Onward. The void constricts around me, coiling around me like the devil's tail, but the roar of a dragon breaks through the darkness and I'm freed from my restraints. Free, I run, putting my all to follow through the path the light had paved, following the trail of electricity left behind by the shots of lightning. The world twists, curving and collapsing onto itself as a final attempt to stop my momentum. Even without sight, I can tell that I won't make it, not without the light burning through the wall of curses that the void is trying to form. Hope begins to fizzle out, the spirits that had powered me dying down. Then, I feel the touch of a gentle hand on my back. Go. I hear a soft voice say, before I'm suddenly pushed forward through the closing hole and out the other side. With a soft thud, I land on what seems to be a pane of glass that stretched on farther than could be seen. The black void is replaced by a gentle blue, and I can see what looks to be a setting sun in the night sky above. Yo. I groan out, rubbing the ache on my head from that fall. Before stopping and looking down at my hand, and then to the rest of my body. I blink, rather surprised to see that my physical body is back, though with it comes the startling realization that my memory is still shattered in many places. The body I'm inhabiting feels both familiar yet unfamiliar, and it's making me feel all weird. And what's my name anyway? Hanami? Shiro? Gilgamesh? Thinking about it makes my head hurt. That aside, my goal here hasn't changed. With my body back, I can clearly hear the sound of thumping, and it's close. I begin making my way, careful to not shatter the seemingly thin pane of glass under me. Step by step I walk forward, using the distant sound to guide my way while I busy myself with trying to piece together the jumbled memories inside my head. It's almost like a puzzle, one that's incredibly frustrating and has some of the weirdest shit I've seen, but a puzzle nonetheless, and one I aim to complete. Sadly, by the time I reach the source of that distant sound, I've made hardly any progress in my efforts and decide to shelve it for later. Shaking my head, I open my eyes. And see a boy? No. Not just a boy. It's a boy, but also a man, yet also a girl and a woman at the same time. The one there is young and old, with facial features constantly shifting from one to another. Despite that, I know of its name. Engra Menu. The bearer of the world's evils. It's a name that brings a chill down my spine, reminding me of terrors I can't remember, and yet I can hardly feel threatened by the individual before me, sitting on the ground and crying under the curses thrown at him by the world. All I feel is pity. Carefully, I approach him and place a gentle hand on his shoulder. Engra stiffens up, before slowly turning to me, his shifting eyes wet with painful tears. In those eyes I see hell. I see the curses that had been bearing into him, that had been etched into every part of his body. I see how they've changed him, molded him into a pariah to take on the sins of humanity. From those eyes I can almost hear the cries he'd let out, the pleas for them to stop, to finally let death claim him and free him from the world. How dare they? How dare they condemn such an innocent child? How dare they place the hammer their sins onto him? How dare they twist him into a monster? How dare they? How dare they? The shouts and curses ring through my ears, filling my head with status, but my eyes don't move. They can't move. How can they simply forget? How can they leave him behind? How can they find pleasure in his pain? How dare they? Pain courses through my veins and I cry out. The curses from inside Ingra surges out, turning his shifting body dark with black tribal tattoos stretching all over his exposed self, a representation of the curses those sinful humans had carved into his body. The tribal tattoos snake up Engra's body, and with a spike of pain, they begin crawling up the hand I'd placed on his back, coiling up my skin like a devious snake. But I don't let go. Weakness. Blindness. Confusion. Sickness. Hatred. Anger. Laziness. Forgetfulness. Indifference. Sadness. Deafness. Numbness. Corruption. Destruction. Isolation. Contempt. Unwillingness. Because if I let go, then wouldn't I be the same as the others? Sorrow. Regret. Misery. Wretch. Desolation. Grief. Tragedy. Grieving. Agony. Shame. Disgrace. Despair. Hatred. Abomination. Disgust. I can't quite help but whimper as the curses continue to climb my arm, the tattoos slithering farther and farther onto my body. It makes me feel cold, lost, the curses slowly etching themselves into my heart. Greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, sloth, pride. I gasp, blood painfully boiling inside my heart as my body burns. The curses have situated itself within me, my skin now decorated by the swirling black tattoos that Ingra has as well. They shine with malice and contempt, each point of color a different sin that was etched into Ingra, and is now mine. His pain is now mine. The curses he bears are mine to bear as well. The anger in his heart is now shared with me. The burden on his shoulders has become shared between us. Why? I hear him ask from inside my mind, his eyes confused at the strange suicidal act I'd pulled off. I can feel tears building in my eyes, my body ready to give in to the unbearable pain, but I'm not going to fall, not yet. So, with the humanity left inside me, I smile the brightest smile I can. Because a burden is better shared with another. Slowly, from within my soul a light begins to shine out, tearing through the curses. The light would have never been able to break through the curses alone, but the curses have been split, shared, and thinned out by another to allow the warmth of the light to break through the coldness of the settled curses. No, it isn't simply that. Infinity divided by half is still infinity. Had his soul had fully become the catalyst for all the world's evils, my light would have never been able to break the veil of all the world's evils on its own. But just like Ingra is now, my light isn't alone. The one emotion that remained in Ingra Manu is hatred, anger, yet within that blackened heart lied a simple wish, a proof that his heart hadn't yet turned to stone. A wish to be free. So be it. Ingra's eyes widen, shocked. A light stronger than any he'd ever seen bursts out from the girl in waves. Every single curse within her is burnt away, the black tribal tattoos broken and cleansed. Ingra quickly closes his eyes, afraid of the light's power, but the cleansing light doesn't hurt him. In the throes of the world you have suffered. I don't know where the words are coming from, but I don't care. Even with me cutting apart some of the curses within him, the remaining ones are strong, hardened and strengthened by the passing of time. I double my efforts, cutting deeper into the wall of curses implanted deep into Ingra with the cleansing light. An unwilling pariah of man, you were a boy never given a chance. In hatred you were born, in hatred you have found peace. I begin to bleed as the darkness within him lashes out, fighting back with the curses humanity had carved into him. Distantly, I can hear him pleading to stop, pleading for me to just leave him so he could hate me like he does for all of humanity. My light shines brighter. From the depths of your heart I heard your plea, a cry for salvation from the damned. The curses increase in intensity, but so does my light. It tries to intercept me and curses seep into my hand, but my light burns it away. Blood continues to flow out of me as I fight back against this seemingly endless tide, and my vision begins to blur from the loss of blood. But that matters not. And so I have come. Engra looks at me, surprised and confused, and if I'd looked at a mirror then I would have seen my eyes shift from green to a burning gold, with wisps of blue flashing past it. Accursed you may be, condemned you may be, but it matters not. Be cleansed from the sins placed upon you. Break free from the chains humanity had placed around you. Reach within. Isolate it. Then burn it, with the might of the northern star. With a shout, I pour out all the energy I have left, pushing my cleansing light past the curses the darkness has been fighting with and into Engra's soul. There, deep within the soul wrapped by hatred, I can hear that one plea for freedom, that cry for salvation. Gently, I wrap my light around it, almost like a warm blanket, and with a smile. Be freed. My magic explodes outward and fills the world with bright light, cleansing every and all filth. Saber eyes the scene in worry, a small frown present on her face as she rides atop the hippogriff, with Astolfo as its esteemed rider. The moment Hanami connected herself with Engra Mainyu, Hanami froze began to bleed. Engra Mainyu had frozen as well, the tattoos engraved upon his skin glowing an ominous purple as a curse was activated. Shiro, who was the closest at the time, was suddenly forced back by an unseen force, and would have crashed painfully onto the ground had Gilgamesh not sent out the magical chains from her treasury and pulled him up to the Golden Hind. With Shiro out of the picture, tentacles made from the curses within Engra Mainyu rose from all around him and Hanami, twisting and coiling around them to form a protective barrier of accursed tentacles. Gilgamesh had been ready to fire another rain of noble phantasms from her gate, when she suddenly stopped. Slowly, she retracted her weapons, and her gates disappeared. Shiro had immediately asked her why, but the king simply told him to watch. Her master looked uncertain for a moment, before he too backed down with a sigh. Which brings her here, flying above and around the unmoving dome of tentacles. Truthfully, while the corruption Engra Mainyu had afflicted onto her was gone, her limbs were still weakened, somewhat paralyzed. If an enemy is to come about now, her combat prowess will be much weaker than it'd normally be. Nevertheless, even weakened she'll fight, no matter the cost. Then, suddenly, an intense wave of magical energy bursts forth from within the cocoon of accursed tentacles, powerful enough to topple the standing remnants of buildings and pick up powerful gusts of wind from the previously still air. Even the legendary hippogriff is stunned for a moment, though Astolfo expertly snaps it out from its reverie and pulls them further away. The magic is distinctly holy, cleansing, reminding her somewhat of the presence and safety Avalon gave her when she had it. However, this one feels foreign, almost otherworldly in its presence. There's only one person that it reminds her of, and Saber can't quite help but smile. It seems, even as Hanami is trapped, she's fighting. As expected of the eccentric girl, her spirit has yet to die down despite the precarious situation she's probably found herself in. It's amazing, really, awe-inspiring even, and she has no doubts that the girl will have any trouble ascending into the throne of heroes. More and more magic continues to pour out, coming in bigger intensity with each and every consequent wave, and they all watch the scene with bated breaths. Except Gilgamesh, that is, whose grin simply grows with each burst of magic. Idly, she wonders what Merlin would have thought of the girl. Considering the type of man he is, he'd probably try to romance her or whatnot. Then again, he might simply make friends with her, or perhaps even take her as an apprentice of sorts. Which would then lead to more pranks. Dear Lord. Shaking the strange thought away, Saber keeps her eyes set on the dome of accursed tentacles. It's now pulsing, its surface cracking, as if the tentacles can no longer contain the energy being released from the insides. Then, with one final powerful wave of magic. Be freed. Hanami's voice sounds out into the world, reverberating and brimming with untold power. The air twists, the dirt cracks, and reality itself bends as a sharp shriek erupts from the opening cocoon of tentacles. And out comes Hanami, shot out from the cracking cocoon and into the air. Gilgamesh sends forth her chains and pulls her back, giving her a quick check over as soon as the unconscious girl makes it to the flying ship. Tense silence follows as the king makes her assessment before she finally smiles, and everyone lets out a sigh of relief. She is drained, but safe nonetheless. Gilgamesh explains, smiling proudly at the girl who'd taken the evils of the world head-on. She knows not of what she truly did, nor did she fully know just what truths she'd seen within, but she fought and survived, breaking through the madness that would have engulfed any normal man. A human above most, a star amongst other stars. Already she can see the threads of fate twist, her space within the throne created for her for when she ascends to join their ranks. Oh, she is no fool. She knows the growth the girl had undergone wasn't normal by any means, but that in itself shined the brilliance of the girl. Even with the strength she has, she is humble, kind yet not overbearing, talkative yet not annoying. As Gilgamesh brings out a luxurious bed from her treasury and let Hanami rest onto it, the king can only wonder how boring this war would have been had the girl not come and joined. But now is not the time to ponder. Though Hanami has severed the anchor Ingramania had, the curses that made him still exist, bubbling upwards from the open cocoon as a giant mass of vengeful wraiths. The abomination cries out in pain, expressing each and every sin humanity has within their sinful hearts. But is that not the beauty of humanity? In her time as king, she'd seen the worst humanity had within their hearts, a darkness that grew and festered even within the hearts of modern humans. But she could discern their hearts, look beneath the surface, and she'd find that spark of fire, that drive that had become the strength of her warriors as they fought against the reign of the gods. So in their memories, and for the girl who'd fought so hard against the encroaching madness, she'll cut that abomination apart and set those wraiths free. Above her comes thousands of portals, rippling and armed with a noble phantasm to fire. It's a strenuous act, especially with her connection to her treasury slightly broken from Ingramania's curse, but she finds it a fitting conduct for the finale. Astolfo soon lands back on the Golden Hind with Saber, both looking up at the giant array of rippling gold and understanding. He shares a look with the King of Knights and smiles, bringing an ancient magical tome. Saber herself has never seen what that particular noble phantasm of his can do, but the message in his eyes are clear. Prepare. I'll defend you all. Nodding at the pink-haired knight, she brings her famed blade into her hands, easing her shaking hands onto its grip as she holds the sword up. Slowly, like the fireflies in the midst of night, golden light begins to rise from around her, swirling and gathering into the blade of her weapon. Then, as she takes a step forward, light shoots up into the sky, creating a pillar of magical energy ready to plummet down onto the earth below. Francis and Castor share a quick glance, and they smile, stepping forward as their combined noble phantasm is primed. They're tired and lacking in prana, but simply resting would be a disservice to the girl that's gone so far to take down what seemed to be an undefeatable enemy, would it not? So they kick the ship's cannon to life, letting energy course through the railguns mounted on this magical flying ship. The hatches open, and out from them come the cannons, their barrels burning bright with supercharged energy. Shiro looks at them all, watching the figures of legend before him. No longer do they hold grim determination in their battle against an invincible enemy, now replaced by a surging wave of triumph and power as they ready to destroy the abomination that Ingramania has broken down into. And it's all thanks to Hanami. Let us repay her efforts in kind, shall we? He hears Merlin say, and he agrees, standing up and bringing forth her staff into his hand. The others look to him curiously, somewhat surprised to see the boy wield a staff. Only Saber had a different reaction, stiffening completely and looking at him with complete horror. He can't quite help but smile at their reactions, but he swiftly goes to work, bringing a small portion of the gardens into the real world. Pink petals flutter through the air, filling the space with magic and rejuvenating the tired group. The fatigue they had that built over the battle disappeared, and even the effects of the curse on Saber lessened, allowing her to better grip her weapon and flood even more magic into it. Satisfied, Shiro takes a silent step forward, gathering magic to the tip of his staff. The abomination cries out in defiance, firing a giant beam of concentrated malice at them, but Astolfo swiftly intercepts it, the tome in his hand glowing as he calls its true name. Cashur de Logistel. An unlocking of the ancient book, bringing forward an ancient curse that cut through the magic it comes into contact with. But, instead of using it offensively as he did previously, the light forms into a shield of fluorescent white. The beam crashes against it and Astolfo is pushed back slightly by the force it carries, but the noble phantasm quickly breaks down the beam, drastically lowering its power. The combined wraiths increases their efforts, and Astolfo's noble phantasm begins to tear from the strain he is putting the tome through. But that's enough. The time is nigh. Slowly, with elegance and confidence, Gilgamesh raises her hand, a signal to ready their attacks. Saber takes another step forward, the ship's cannons thrum with power, and the magic on Shiro's staff spikes. Then, she brings her hand down. A valiant shout sounds as Saber brings down her blade, sending the pillar of light crashing onto the earth. A deafening gunfire is heard as the cannons of the Golden Hind fire, unleashing the magic empowered by electricity and magnetism. The winds blow as Shiro fires the pent-up magic he'd gathered on his staff, sending a beam of ancient magic down at the curses. The sky is adorned by steel as Gilgamesh lets loose her gates of Babylon, raining down a storm of noble phantasms. Light cascades as all the attacks collide, and what is left of Ngramenu knows no more as it burns away, unable to remain in the world with the anchor Hanami had severed. On that night, dubbed by most as the end of the world, the Fourth Holy Grail War comes to an end. Tribute collected, prana collected sufficient. Affirmative, Holy Grail War ended. Winner chosen, winner unconscious. Desire cannot be heard, wish detected. Command activated, Holy Grail activated, you have rested in a luxurious bed. HP, MP, and stamina fully recovered. Amichum. Slowly, I crack my eyes open to see the familiar notification pop up. I smile at it, extremely relieved to see the blue screen pop up with that little jingle. It means I'm not dead yet, and isn't that just the best? NN. But the bed just feels so good, you know? I don't think I've ever slept on a bed this comfy. Heck, even the notification classifies the bed as luxurious, so it must be true, right? Ah, I think I'll just take a quick nap. That peace doesn't last. Ryoji. Saber Altar. Enki. Tainted Heart. Ngramenu. Curses. Death. 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 My eyes snap open, and they remain unblinking as my memories pour back, my near photographic memory forcing me to relive every single moment. I force my cry down. Silently, I rise from the bed suddenly feeling far colder than it had been. Cold sweat pools in the back of my neck, and I take a deep breath to sort everything out, forcing my tense muscles to relax. It isn't an easy process, but I eventually manage, pushing the tension away with a gentle sigh. Yeah. That all happened, didn't it? A hesitant chuckle leaves me as I pinch the bridge of my nose. The entire plan was dangerous, relying completely on Morningstar, protecting me from the pressure of all the world's evils. If it wasn't strong enough, I would have been swallowed, my soul taken and broken down by the rampant malice dwelling inside Ngramenu. I don't really remember much after I touched Ngramenu. In fact, it feels like some of my memories are missing, as if some parts of the film reel are suddenly gone. Most of my memories from when I first came into the Nasuverse are still there, thankfully, but the rest aren't so lucky. The memories of who Tsunaka Hanami was before I took over is patchy at best, and the memories, me, that came from that other world is filled with holes as well. Seems like I didn't come out completely. Sighing, I shake my head. There's no point in stressing over what is lost. For now. Where am I? I take a look around me, and my surroundings are adequate, with only the extremely comfy I'm on standing out. I seem to be in a bedroom of some sort, though there aren't any pictures or mementos that can immediately point out who this room might belong to, and I don't really want to use my mystic eyes at the moment. With a regretful sigh, I peel off the comfortable blanket I've been sleeping under and stand. I do some quick stretches, just to get my blood pumping and all, before I look out the one window in this room, which only leads out towards the vast ocean on the other side. My enhanced hearing isn't catching anything either, so there isn't anyone in about 650 meters. Which is strange. I've never really been alone, even back before I've been dropped into this insanity, so it's a new feeling. Since no one's around, and there doesn't seem to be any dangers nearby, I sit back down, popping open my status screen to see the backlog of notifications that came up when I was unconscious. And, oh boy, there's a lot. You have slain Ngramenu. 5 billion EXP gained, you have gained, accursed fragment of delusions. You have leveled up X2. Quest, Incarnation of the Sword, Amiya Shiro, has been completed. You have gained 10 billion EXP, Kaleidoscope, Skill Book. You have leveled up X3. Extra Mission of Quest, Incarnation of the Sword, Amiya Shiro, has been completed. You have gained 10 billion EXP, Mysterious Item Bundle. You have leveled up. Okay, there's actually still some more after this, but I'll just split them. This is, yeah. I actually somewhat forgot I even had this quest, but my lord, I can barely keep myself from breaking from my grin. I mean, 25 billion EXP, and, Kaleidoscope. Dude, I feel like I'm Cloud 9 right now. And that's not even counting the other items. Then again, I guess after that entire ordeal, I suppose some sort of reward is expected. Still, this feels just a tad crazy. I'll just quickly move on for now. Quest, End of Zero, has been completed. You have gained, Fragments of Heaven. Extra mission of Quest, End of Zero, has been completed. You have gained, the Holy Grail. Yep. That extra reward isn't lying in any shape or form. I literally have the Holy Grail in my inventory. Granted, it's currently inactive and empty, but it's still the damned Holy Grail, you know, the thing that can gather enough magical energy to supposedly punch a hole through reality to reach Akasha. Yeah. That one. The Fragments of Heaven is a bit of a mystery though, since its description doesn't say much. I guess I'll just use my mystic eyes to analyze it later. Now, a couple more notifications. Due to certain quest completions, your character sheet has received an upgrade. All natural stats have been doubled. Racial change has now been activated. An extra class slot has been added. Whoa. I don't really have any words to explain this. I mean, like, putting my stat doubling for now, having the possibility of adding another class into my roster, and being able to change my race as well. What races can I even change into? Ah, so many possibilities, but I'll refrain myself from instantly diving into the changes in my status. There's still 3 more messages left. You are the winner of the 4th Holy Grail War. Though you were unconscious, the Grail has picked up on the wishes you had within your heart and acted accordingly. Every single servant that you consider allies have become fully corporeal, given physical bodies for them to live. Through hardships you persevered. Through darkness you pushed through. Through the painful truth you marched on. Even as the curses of the world bit on you, tore your psyche into rags, you remained steadfast, fighting against an enemy deemed invincible even by the system. For that, and many turbulent struggles you have gone through, I thank you. Congratulations, gamer, you have gained the skill, Enlightenment of the Sacred Fig. The final message feels almost personal, and I can't help but smile and tear up a little. I'm just reminded of everything that's happened. On the very first day, when I came into this world and met Shiro, a spark was lit that burned into a giant forest fire of events, and it's always been ride after ride with very few breaks in between. We've always been on our toes, and even on the breaks we had, my mind was filled with improving myself for the dangers to come. And now, it's done. This arc of the story is finished. Ah, this is bad. Crap, I can't stop the tears from falling. Months of tension and worry has been lifted from my shoulders, and, God, I feel so liberated. I let myself silently cry, over a job well done, over a task finished, over just everything. I let my tears loose for some more time, before I take a deep breath, turning to look out through the window with a teary smile. It's over. Nagasaki, a fairly large prefecture, located in the islands of the rising sun. Years before, in the Second World War, a powerful atomic bomb had been dropped within this region, creating an explosion humanity had ever seen at that moment. Now, it's regrown and flourished once more. Note, you are currently located at the southern edge of the city, atop a small island not too far from the continent of Japan. Other individuals detected in a 645-meter radius, 0, current threat level, safe. Huh, so I'm in Nagasaki, that's quite some distance from Fuyuki. To go back a bit, after some time spent calming myself down, I decided to leave the room, which turned out to be a single-roomed cottage located on an island in the middle of seemingly nowhere. Of course, I now know that it's actually close to Nagasaki, but it's still quite the jarring switch in scenery after the long time I've spent in urban locations. Also, you might have noticed the extra note on the bottom of the notification there. That's actually an additional effect of my new skill, but I'll save the skill descriptions for next time. We've all just gone through the climax, so I think we can save the details for later, yeah? But that all aside, I wonder what I should do. I mean, this place is relaxing and I can probably spend some more time just lazing on the sand and watching the clouds go by, but I don't think I can ever be that still. Then, as I look to the oceans, I spot a group of fish casually swim by, their forms somewhat distorted by the moving waves. An idea springs into my head. Hey, why don't I spend my time fishing? It sounds rather out of place, but I honestly think that it'll be fun. I've never really fished in my life, and I'm feeling rather hungry myself, so it'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Sure, I can just buy food from the item shop, but that's boring. Catching my own food and cooking it myself sounds way more engaging. Of course, I have no knowledge on how to cook either, but new experiences like these are the spices of life, right? So, using a random stick I found on the island and some string I bought from the item shop, I begin creating my crude fishing rod. Until it suddenly isn't a crude fishing rod. Bronzen fishing rod, rank D, a simple wooden fishing rod created from wood and string, an ancient but effective tool used from the Middle to Late Bronze Age of human history. Though simple in its making, it was crafted and molded by ancient magic, turning it into an extremely effective tool. Fish catching efficiency, 200% chance of losing caught items, 2%. Chance increases if the caught item is heavy or moving. Durability, 100% creator, Tsunaka Hanami. Yeah, kinda forgot about a certain skill called Age of Babylon, the one that makes anything I create at least rank D in quality. I can't help but smile wryly as I inspect the fishing rod I made, seeing how its wooden body has somehow gained a clean polish despite me barely doing anything to it. Kinda crazy that I would have missed this skill if I didn't use my mystic eyes on Gilgamesh. With my rod ready, the next item I need is a chair. Of course, I'm making the chair myself as well. I pull out one of the remaining logs I have in my inventory and begin carving several planks with a random saw I have lying in my inventory. Planks made, I return the cut log and the saw back into my inventory. With the magic of alteration, I combine all the planks in a long strip of cloth I have into a nice beach chair for me to sit on. With this, my setup is complete. Placing the beach chair on the shoreline, I sit on it, trying to find the optimal sitting position for this. After the position is found, I buy a quick bucket of bait from the shop, and tying a ball of it onto the end of my string, I throw the tied bait into the ocean. Or at least I tried, because as soon as I do so the end of the string flies up instead, the tied bait breaking off the string and dropping into the waters. I stare blankly at it, before I sigh. Seems like I released the string a bit too early, causing the bait to fly up instead of forward. Well, that, and I put a bit too much energy into it. The professionals make it look so simple, man. With my lesson learned, I attach another ball of bait onto the end of the string and fling it into the ocean waters. It still isn't the best, with the bait still going rather high into the air, but it at least lands back into the waters correctly, bobbing in the ocean and waiting for some unknowing sea creature to latch onto it. Due to certain actions, you have gained the skill, fishing. And there you go. Now, time to wait. And wait I did. Hours flew by as I sat by the beach, occasionally propping up from my seat to reel in whatever bit onto the bait and storing my loot into my inventory. Then I'd tie another ball of bait onto the string, throw it into the ocean, wait until another fish bites the bait, and the cycle repeats. It was noon when I first woke up. It's evening now, with the sun slowly dipping beyond the horizon, its orange light scattering across the rolling waves. I'm still sitting on the beach chair I made, waiting for another fish of some sort to come and bite onto the bait. And while that's going on, I'm roasting several of the fishes I caught atop a campfire I made earlier. Due to certain actions, you have gained the skill, cooking. Oh, hey there. After some time, the fishes are fully roasted, I think, and I begin eating, taking little bites across the now crispy skin. They taste bland, disgustingly so. They're not bad, mind you, but I guess I've become too used to Shiro's absolute godlike food. However, food is food, and I'm hungry, so I tough through the experience and eat them all. Ack. Finishing the final roasted fish, I swiftly pull out a bottle of water and down it all, dousing my tongue with the taste of clean water. The bland fishy taste remains. Starting to have regrets on not just buying food from the item store. I doubt those tasted good. A familiar voice says cheekily, and I sigh. They don't. I say as I turn to meet Gilgamesh, who'd recently arrived with her, Vimana, and landed on the island. It just tastes bland. I can imagine. With her piece said, she pulls out a chair of her own from her treasury and sits beside me, looking out towards the slowly setting sun in the distance. As she sits there, bathed by the light of the setting sun, I find myself silenced. The wind blows and her golden hair waves along, sparkling like stars. The light shines on her, her eyes appearing almost a gentle orange, and as she turns to me with a smile I find myself in the face of true beauty, one that seduced even the gods. How can I sit before one like so? You truly are interesting, she says, leaning slightly closer. A human with strength reminiscent of the ages of old, one whose potential stretches beyond even what I can see. She looks into my eyes, smiling. A humble human, one whose mind remains unclouded by the temptations of the world, one whose soul remains despite the curses it had taken. You are a diamond, scarred yet beautiful. Never let anyone tell you otherwise, not even yourself. Slowly, I nod, fearing that my words would fail me. It Feels rather strange to be praised so heavily, especially by someone like Gilgamesh, but her words make me feel light and giddy, and I can't help but smile. And I'm pretty sure I was blushing at that moment, but whatever. We spend the rest of the day simply sitting there, occasionally delving into idle talk as we watch the sun set, and the night overtake the sky, with stars glittering from far above. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.